Hi, this is AVTPro Advanced Visualization Technology Production. Now, I have my new moniker, which is the Homeless Animator, because I am homeless, but I'm still homeless, but I'm in a shelter, of course, and I told the story. You can check the blog, and if you want to support me so I can do more of these vlogs, the idea of these vlogs is to give you the key or to solve the problem that I have understanding certain particular types of problems when it came to animation. So I'm trying to focus on animation, but it's a little hard to do because it starts to spread into story, acting, and the technical aspect of it. But I want to continue. I haven't done a vlog in a while, and I had this burning desire to do a vlog, even though I haven't thought too much about it. I just realized that I haven't done it, and I want to finish out Subtext. So I want to finish out Subtext, so the third part of Subtext as it relates to animation and story and acting. So I did 2 vlogs, and the first 2 vlogs are basically about performance, which is what I want to do, is give you the quick keys to performance, like technically how to improve your animation, have more control over it. And then when dealing with 2 characters or dealing with character, and the word character in animation is, as I said, how that the personalities or the traits of that particular character, like if you know that they're a short wick, they get angry easily. If somebody comes around and know them, you already know what's going to happen. There's that anticipation or that psychological understanding of what's about to happen. So that's one part of character. And so in performance, I wanted to explain subtext. So, like, I used the analogy, I used the example of Jungle Book and Shere Khan with Kyle, and how he used his talents, claws, as like knives, almost like a gangster. And he was like scratching his nose, teasing with the knife, and then he took it and he put it up Kai's nostril and said, "Oh, if you happen to see him, let me know, will you? Would you be so kind as to let me know?" Now, he's being so gingerly and so gentlemanly and polite about it, but really he's about to cut your nose off your face. So that's the kind of subtext in performance, and it also expresses his character, which is like this very subtle, mean vileness to his character. So you notice that he's not screaming, he's not blurting out a bunch of emotion and expression. Tell me where the Mowgli is. That's not acting. That's not, the kind of. It's just not what I would call really acting. So if you get on turn on the camera and start screaming and shouting and think you're doing a great performance, it's just you're just screaming and shouting. Acting has more to do with subtext and how you can deliver different emotions other than just screaming and shouting. And so I don't want to go too there. That's a touchy subject. I'll go on that later. But so subtext in the sense of character performance is one thing, and I did 2 vlogs on that. Now I want to do a vlog on actual scene subtext. And so I think in general there's 2 types of definitions for the same thing, and that's why it's kind of confusing with acting. So when you say character, you're talking about the internal traits and stuff like that of a performer or an actor, actress, whatever. And then there's like how the character works in the scene, like the character transitions and the character arcs and stuff like that. So you have to be, in most things in acting, it's kind of like they have 2 definitions for stuff, and that's why it gets kind of confusing. So So with this subtext, like I'll give you an example, like secondary motion. Like everybody will say secondary motion. Like I did a video where an arm swings, in the overlap of an arm swing. Some people will say that secondary motion. I never call it secondary motion. Secondary motion to me is I got allergies, right? And they're profuse. I had them on my videos and they're just terrible. I'm sniffing the whole video. But if I'm trying to deliver a video and I'm sniffing and playing with this is the secondary motion. It doesn't override the main primary motion, which is me delivering the message. So if I'm talking to you and I'm waving a napkin, you know that napkin is there as a secondary motion, but it's not about the napkin, it's about what I'm saying. So we'll go into that later. But what I want to explain is subtext as far as a scene as opposed to a performance. So the subtext, and it's part of a bigger gripe I have with 11-second club. So I want to explain it. So bear with me. In 11-second club, when you're learning to animate, they give you a snippet, a dialogue, an audio snippet from any movie. And basically they tell you this. They say, listen to it a million times. Whenever they teach you animation, they say, listen to it a million times. I say it doesn't matter if you don't know what you're listening for. If you don't know what you're listening in a dialogue, you're just, numbing your brain by hearing it a million times. Yes, you can add some type of character, personality, and performance, but what is it? What structurally are you trying to extract from the dialogue that will help you deliver and communicate the performance to your audience? And that's what you want to look for when you're doing a 10-second club audio snippet. So in order to do that, I believe that you need to know some of the story or the context of the story. Like Keith Lingle, my favorite animator, which I listen to, he did a snippet that was one of his tutorials of Moses. And he says, the Lord has given you 15 tablets, and he drops one. And he kicks it to the side. 10 commandments. The Lord has given you 15 commandments. And he drops it. And he's like, and he blows it off. 10 commandments. Sorry. So there's a character, you see his thinking and what he tried to do and a personality and the subtext of how he tried to play it all. So to get back to that, subtext in a character would be that kind of thing where you see the character and the personality of the character. Let's say if you ask a character, what are they doing? How are you doing today? And they say, oh, I'm fine. They're not fine. They're just like they're trying to cover it up. The fact of the way they feel. So that is the subtext of that. It's like, oh, I'm fine. And it's almost like they're saying, don't ask me. So subtext is actually in a performance is actually a statement that is not being said. It's not really irony or sarcasm. It's just the underneath of what is actually really being said by the character, if you can read it. Or they're hiding it, and so the fact that they're hiding it, like as in Shere Khan, when he says, oh, what do you have up in your coils? And he's like, oh, nothing. Oh, nothing. They're lying, So here's the thing, I need to go back to it real quick. And I haven't been able to do this in one vlog, so I know that it is probably going to take a lot more vlogs. But what I want to explain is subtext in a story. So if you have a 10-second clip and you're trying to listen to it a million times to absorb it, get it in your mind, I think all you're doing is numbing your brain. And the reason why I say that, because if you write, if you write, then you know the context of a scene. So back to Keith Langle's example of Moses with the thing. He knew that it was Moses. So if you know it's Moses, then you have somewhat of a context. You need some context. And the more context you have, the better your performance will be. So the more subtext, the more you understand the motivation, the more you understand the scene, the more you understand the scene before it and the scene after, the more you will better be able to portray the scene. And that's why I think it is important to have some type of writing knowledge and skill in writing. And so if you're an animator, the thing that I did, because I was into the more technical aspect, I would sculpt it, I would draw it. You have to understand the actual narrative, story, thematic part of what it is that a performance is. The more you understand it, the better you'll be able to do it. So that's as far as I can probably get in about 10 minutes. So I'll go about 4 more minutes and to try to explain that. So you need to have, if you're going to be an animator, if you're going to be a future animator, if you're going to look at the storyboards and break them down, if you're going to do the story, you're going to have to know that. Story artists, they start from scratch. I tell you, I would have probably been a storyboard artist years ago if I had know what it was about. One of the things that happened to me when I had the red camera, I bought the red camera. Technically, I knew like 4K was what I was into. The technical aspect of having high resolution so that I can have better green screen because I have more pixels to work with. But when it came to just shooting things, I didn't have a subject matter. I didn't really even care to have one. And it was same with animation. I never really cared about it. I basically was into technical aspect. But if you want to move beyond that, then you're going to have to know some story. So I think that's about as far as I'm going to be able to get on this slide. So again, the last thing I want to say about that, if you do 10-second club, 11-second club, or anything, they don't give you the context. They don't tell you what it's about. They just say, do it a million times. You're not going to really get a whole lot out of it. You're not going to get the scene out of it. Now, you can animate anything to it. You can say, oh, here's a line. Oh, I get it. It's easy. You know, all you do is take to everybody and get them together, but you can do any kind of animation. You can say, oh, I get it. All you do is take this and do that and that, and you can do it. But if you want to have some meaningful performance that is related to the context, you're going to have some idea of the story. So in that case, I would say take a story, and even if you know it already, animate it differently. It's so powerful that you can take a story and just redo it a different way. So you will understand the context, you will understand the movie, but what if you said, well, what if it actually ended like this? Or what if in that scene they actually meant it like this? So reimagine the story. Try that before you just take any arbitrary kind of thing and try to animate that. You know, any kind of arbitrary kind of sound bite or audio clip or scene and just arbitrarily try to animate it. I don't think it's the best way. So that's my warning. I want to go into it more clearly where I directly focus on it. So the basis of my argument with it is that you need to know something about story structure, how to build your story, context, subtext, and those type of things in order to do a better animation. And especially if you're going to do 10-second club. Get that kind of thing. And so maybe I actually did get it. So what I really wanted to say. So if you do 10-second club, they don't tell you the story. They don't tell you what it's about. They just say, do it a million times. Just listen to it a million times. I don't think that's enough. Find your notes. Talk to the director. talk to the animation supervisor. Find what the meaning is. Find out what's the scene before. Find out what's behind it. And that's funny I would say that because I'm not really in the industry and I don't really study in the industry, but I do animate and I do study, and I have recently become a writer. And that's the last point I'll make about it. As a writer, as soon as you can write and write your own story, you don't have any question about what the motivation of the character is. You know what it's supposed to do. You imagine it already. You barely have to listen to it. You're not going to listen to your own dialogue. So if you script it out on, and let's say final draft or any kind of script writing, you're not going to say, oh, I wonder what they're imagining. You already know. Oh, I wonder what the character was thinking. You're not going to think that. You know what the character was thinking when you wrote it. See what I mean? So you're not gonna reiterate that. You're not gonna say, oh, how did no. What you're gonna do is try your best to find how to add more of what you were thinking when you wrote it. And so in that case, it's better to understand dialogue, which is what I talked about before, like the negotiation of a character, how to do effective dialogue. There are some great videos. I don't know if it's good to promote or advertise it, but I'll let you know the resources. There's some great information about effective dialogue and effective acting in those kind of effective dialogue, just the actual story and the subtext of that. So there you have it. I'll go into it later so that's the key point. It's like as soon as you become a writer, get into writing. As soon as you come into writing, then you understand and study the structure of it, and then that way you'll know what to look for when you're presenting a performance that you did not write or animate yourself. Okay, I think that should do it. God bless you. I'm the homeless animator, and if you'd like to support me, or if you like these videos that I'm doing, like I say, this one is to bring your attention to that problem. Don't listen to something a million times. To look for the nuances and the fluctuations. Unless you're just looking for nuances and fluctuations. Know what you're looking for in the scene. Know what the character wants. What the character is after. What the setting is. Where, what those type of things, like what the writer intended, or the writer was intending, or the screenplay writer was intending when they wrote the scene. What is the subtext? What do they want? What is the circumstances? What is the story subtext? How does the character feel emotionally? What does the character want at that point? What is stopping them from what they want? What is the conflict? What is the drama? What are the accents? Look into some acting, like actors. What are the major beats of the scene? So there you have it. When you do that, even if you get some of that, you'll have a great animation. I don't have my computers. If you support me, hopefully I can get back on my computers again. God bless you all. Thank you for everybody who already have supported me. You've been so helpful. Talk to you soon. Bye now.